This is one of those really great chapters that does an awesome job of just dragging a ton of emotion out of you, and for better or worse, happy, sad, just angry, you know?
One Piece Chapter 396, Saul.
Well, hello, my brothers and sisters of the Nerd Nation. I, as always, am Jim, here to bring you another review on the awesome and heartfelt and sometimes mind-numbingly mind-boggling tale of One Piece. Now, our last chapter and the last few, of course, we've been just knee-deep into Robin's flashback, and of course, the last one for me was very heartfelt and tear-jerking, especially the last half of it, as Robin was just calling out and trying to get her mother to pay attention to her, and Olvia, of course, was trying to do the right thing in ignoring her and pretending as if she didn't have a daughter, not wanting Robin to be branded as a criminal, an enemy of the government, that sort of thing. So things left off with them commencing the Buster Call, and right after Robin went and said, "No, please, I can read the Ponegliffs too." And that, of course, caught Spandine's attention, and that's how things left off. And actually, things pick up right there as well. You know, the Buster Call has commenced, and they're starting to barrage, you know, just a barrage of cannon fire on the island, and apparently they're just these 10 warships with these 5 vice admirals. You know, they just attack, and they attack until everything's blown up on fire, annihilated, destroyed, whatever. Just complete death and destruction. Within the first few pages, I thought it was very, very heartfelt and very touching, because Spandine goes and just basically says, "Hey, leave them, let's go." And you know, one of his guys says, "Yeah, but what about the kid? Do you think that she can actually read Poneglyphs?" You know, and he says, "I wouldn't even worry about it. Just commit her face to memory and make sure she doesn't get off the island." And they're like, "Well, shouldn't we bring Olvia?" You know, and he said, "No, it's fine. Don't worry about it. We're gonna get ourselves killed. Let's just get out of here." So they go and take off, and Spandine and a couple of guys that he's with are the only ones that really heard that or know that about Robin. However, as they're going to get the fuck out of Dodge, of course we know that Saul is on his way, you know, to them and whatnot as well, trying to find Robin, and we wind up seeing that connection eventually too, which is very cool, I think. But the real heartfelt moment, though, for me is amongst all this cannon fire and fire starting, the Tree of Knowledge is started on fire and everything else, Robin finally gets to go and hold her mother's hand again, something that she clearly hasn't been able to do since she was little, and remembers fondly as one of her probably first and maybe only memories of her mother and her father, as you see this flashback a couple of times, this picture where she's holding on to, you know, looks like a mother and a father's hands. So as they're sitting there amongst all this destruction that's going on around them, they're able to hold hands and then eventually just be able to hug. And it was very heartfelt, very, very tearful and emotion-filled. And honestly, I had to use some Kleenex. It was very, the way it was drawn, I mean, it's just all beautiful and just striking, you know, just absolutely, you know, done very, very well, I believe, anyway. And as they go and they just kind of hold on to one another, you know, you see it, you actually get to see it in that page over there, which I thought was kind of, well, and I wouldn't even say kind of, I thought it was very, very emotional, and it was something that definitely was nice, and it tugged on my heartstrings. However, what follows, I'm not too clear on, and I don't want to go and have everybody getting out the pitchforks and whatnot, because I don't agree with their ideas and the rose-colored glasses that they like to wear and view this tale through. I just look at things from a practical standpoint and kind of what particularly I enjoy or not enjoy, or what I understand or don't understand. And what I don't understand is what follows. Robin's mother abandoned her 6 years ago to go and dig up and play archaeologist and dig up these Ponegliffs. And then when she came back to warn the scholars and everything else after she had been captured and tortured and imprisoned and all this other stuff, right? And she's finally reunited with her daughter, who she first has to go and ignore because she wants to protect her, right? But then when the cat's out of the bag and the lipsticks come off the pig and Robin just said what she said, and then they wind up taking off anyway because the barrage of cannon fire started the Buster Call, she gets to hold her daughter. She gets to be with her daughter. And then Saul appears, right? And she's like, "Saul, what are you doing here?" You know? And he's like, "Oh, you know, I was shipwrecked. I washed up on shore here. It was all fate, blah, blah, blah," right? So then she goes, and in an act of what I can only deem as sheer just stupidity and cold-heartedness, although she's crying while she's doing it, she goes and tells Saul to get Robin off the island, to get her, see if she can get her onto the evacuation boat, sneak her on, whatever, right? And Saul and Robin are like, "Why aren't you coming with too?" "Oh, no, she's got other shit to do." And what I don't get is that she realizes by now that no one and nothing is going to survive this. There is 10 warships just with a barrage of cannon fire. Everything is burning or on fire or about to be destroyed. Why the fuck are you not going and moving on with your life in the sense of trying to go and preserve some of that knowledge that you have and be with your daughter? If someone can explain that to me legitimately in the comments, I would certainly love to hear it. I would love to hear what the excuse is from this woman this time. Now, the excuse when she abandoned her 6 years ago was that she had to fulfill her husband's dream and she felt like nobody else could do it, and the thirst for knowledge wound up overtaking her thirst for actually being a parental figure, right? Okay, I can get past that, but now you've finally been reunited with her, and against all odds, too. I mean, it looked like you were going to get carted off by, back to the world government in prison just 2 minutes ago. You've now been given this second chance with your life and with your daughter. Why are you not trying to escape with her? All the other scholars are running around trying to do stuff, and we got to preserve this, we got to preserve that. You're not going to preserve shit. Stop being so fucking stupid and pig-headed. The place is burning and being destroyed. You're not getting away with anything. All these people are going to be decimated and burned to a pile of ash and everything that's with it. Stop trying to preserve a possession, which is ultimately what it seems like, manuscripts and information and knowledge, and try to keep what's up here that you have to live on, right? And it especially just hurts me right in the frickin' in the sensory part of my brain, the common sense part, because then she goes and talks about how someone has to live on and be able to get it. I'm so proud of you that you can read the Ponegliffs, Robin. And someone has to live on with the knowledge of Ohara, right? What happened here? And that's great. Why aren't you one of those people? You can leave the other ones if they want to be here and they want to go and condemn themselves to die by trying to save the books and everything else. Fine. But why are you not trying to, somebody tell me, why are you not trying to preserve your life along with your daughter's? You just got reunited with her and now you're abandoning her again. For what? For fucking books and knowledge? That's the thing that I don't understand. So, you want to barrage me and hit me with the dislikes? Go the fuck ahead. I don't even care. The point is that it makes no sense to me for what she would have done. And I certainly hope that between the comments and maybe in the next few chapters, we can find out what the legitimate reason is, if there is one, why she would abandon her daughter yet again and forsake her life completely. I don't understand that. The next portion of the chapter shows us the ties to Saul and what's going on and whatnot. And we first find out that he was a vice admiral, Saul, right? Now it all winds up connecting, and we find out that the boat, that the ship that Olvia and all the other scholars were on, apparently he was, the vice admiral was on that ship. He sent some of his guys over to check it out, to capture it, whatever. They slaughtered everybody except for Olvia, right? And he was like, and he was against that. He's like, why are you? These are just people that are scholars. They're history buffs. Why are you killing them? And they're like, oh, there was one survivor and this and that, So what wound up happening is that was he started to kind of not believe in the system of justice anymore. He believed it was bullshit. He was then asked later on, by Admiral Sengoku to go and be a part of this buster call, and he even said, he's like, why are we going to go and just decimate an island with people that are just trying to learn now, just trying to have knowledge, And you see during the course of these panels that it's actually very touching. You see someone that realizes that what they're doing is wrong, okay, that the sense of justice is all twisted and messed up. So we find out that he's actually the one that wound up springing Olvia from her prison. He no longer, of course, believes in the world government and what it stands for, doesn't believe in his position and what it stands for, and he winds up escaping with her on a boat, on a ship. They're, of course, being chased down and everything else by the Navy. But, and Olvia says, I'm not going to thank you. And I thought, oh, okay, really? A guy who wound up coming to his senses and who was never really on board for this bullshit to begin with goes and, like, springs you from jail and saves your life, but you're not going to thank him, right? You're too proud and prissy. But anyway, he goes and he explains to her, I just don't, because she says, you're going to be hunted, by the government. You're never going to get your position back. And he says, that's fine. And I like what he said, he goes, their sense of justice is basically, it's all twisted up. It's not what I signed up for, just to kill innocent people. So you see that there's somebody that does have a good heart and that realizes that, things aren't so black and white. You don't just kill people that go against the wishes of the government, you don't just slaughter innocents. So that was done very well. As it winds up coming out of this little flashback and we see So we see the connection and obviously how he was hooked up there and everything else. One of the ships, though, wound up spotting him, you know, he's a huge giant, right? And he's got Robin now, he's running with her. And they see this, and they're, oh, it's Vice Admiral Saul, you know? So obviously, that's where they made the connection. That's what caused them to go into the flashback. When they come out of the flashback, as he's going and running, of course, Robin is just screaming, you know what I mean? It's very similar to, like, an Attack on Titan when Hannes goes in and runs with Eren and Mikasa and runs away from the Titan because the mother's trapped and everything else. Doesn't even attempt to stay and fight or anything else, and even admits later on that that was the wrong thing to do. So that's kind of, you know, that's kind of where I'm going at with this one over here. Robin's mother had a chance to be with her daughter and permanently and to try to save herself. Maybe it would have worked out, maybe it wouldn't have, but she chose to go back and do whatever it is that she's doing. We don't know, at least not in this chapter. So as Saul's trying to get her to the evacuation ship, get to the edge of the island or whatever, he's hit square in the head with a cannonball, right? From this ship that's anchored just offshore, one of these warships. And he winds up taking a licking and just keeps on ticking, right? He's all bruised up and everything, but he takes a cannonball like a champion to the face, puts Robin down for a second, and Robin's still, of course, freaking out, crying, wants her mother, just, you know, I mean, and why wouldn't she? She's an 8-year-old kid. He goes and runs, and at the end of the chapter, I thought it was great. He goes and he runs runs right at her and just goes and picks up the front end of this frickin' ship, man, and just goes and just heaves this fucker up, and he even says, here he goes, Aaron, please, Vice Admiral, what are you trying to do? Don't come any closer. Stop. Are you in your right mind? And he's just like, I don't know what justice is anymore. I'm just going to protect my friend. And even Robin's going, stop, Saul. And he's like, be prepared. If you make me your enemy, there will be the devil to pay. And I liked how that one ended off over here because I still don't think anything's going to end well for Saul or, of course, anybody that is on Ohara. As we know from what's going on in present time, everyone was eliminated or at least reported to have been killed and eliminated. The demons of Ohara, as they were branded. But it's all just a bunch of government bullshit, which we all know. As I said, though, I would like to know if anybody has a sensible explanation, you know, or something that would make any type of sense for Robin's mother now leaving her once again when she, too, could have possibly gotten off the island, especially with the help of Saul, who is a giant, you know what I mean? He's bigger, he's faster, you know, and instead she chose to do God knows what with the other scholars and whatnot, and obviously they're fighting a losing battle as everything's being burned and destroyed around them. So, again, before you go, you know, watch the whole video if you can, you know, before you go and decide to pass judgment on me. I'm just calling them like I see them over here. It was, the last chapter was a gut-wrenching chapter because I thought that Robin and her mother would actually just kind of two ships passing in the night, and they'd never actually get to meet. And then they do! And you see that in the beginning of the chapter, and you're just like, oh my god, you're just bursting out with just emotion and everything. You know, I was tearing up. And then a few pages later, I'm looking at this beautifully drawn picture of Olvia, you know, going and I'm going to leave you now again. And I'm thinking, why? You know, so that's my chapter question, though, for you brothers and sisters, is why do you think that Olvia left Robin again? And for whatever reason it was, do you think that there's any legitimate reason for doing what she's doing at this point? Because in my mind, the knowledge that you have, if you live on, you didn't impart that to your daughter. You could live on, and hopefully some of that knowledge that you've gained from that 6-year journey and everything else could be imparted on to somebody else, and Ohara could live on. But instead, you're telling it to live on through an 8-year-old girl that knows how to read a poneglyph, but has no knowledge of some of the things that you've discovered or some of these other scholars have discovered in secret over these years, you know. So anyway, leave your answer to that question, if you can, in the comments down below. Feel free to hit the thumbs up, the like button if you should think that I deserve it, and subscribe if you haven't done so already. We will look forward to catching all of you in the next one, Nation. Subscribe to my other channels and follow me on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram too.